People often come into the comment section of my videos and ask the question, why do you always go at the Democratic Party? Why don't you ever talk about what Republicans are doing? And the answer to that is very simple. You see, the Republicans are not your problem. Their stance is very clear when it comes to Black Americans and our issues. And their stance, in short, is kick rocks. You see, your problem is that you can't see the Democrats for who they actually are. And that is that the Democrats are equally, if not more wicked than the Republicans, because the Democrats pretend to be your friends while Republicans don't. So therein lies the problem. Our inability to understand this basic truth is destroying us. And if you can't understand it for the truth that it is, then you can't even begin to discuss solutions. Now understand, there are a lot of people out there discussing and putting forth solutions, but because you hate the truth and you love the lie, you can't see them nor hear them. But once you learn to love the truth, the solutions will appear. So now, let's get into this truth. Legislation can be designed to do one of two things. It can be designed to work as intended, or it can be designed to fail. It can also be designed to fail a specific group of people. And in the case of child care in Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan, this is 100% designed to fail Black children and families. But before we get into all that, let's watch Geppetto pull the strings of Ayanna Pressley as she attempts to sell us on this.
Despite what some might argue, the needs of our communities go far beyond our nation's roads and bridges. And we must ensure that our policies and our investments reflect that reality. Mr. Speaker, I refuse to choose between the union worker who builds our highways and the child worker who protects our babies and sets them on a pathway to a healthy life, to bringing to bear their contributions to the world. I would ask every member of Congress that they do the same. Reject the unjust, false, binary choices that force us to choose between the livelihoods and well-being of the two, that pit community member against community member. We have the opportunity and responsibility to finally make universal paid leave, home health care, and universal access to quality and affordable child care a reality. In my district, in Massachusetts, it's $21,000 per child for child care.
Now let's discuss the truth of the matter. And to do that, I'll be reading from this article titled, "Dem Child Care Plan Could Exclude Half of Black Kids." The current Democratic child care proposal provides grants to states so they can set up a complex system of child care subsidies for parents. States do not have to participate in the program, and recent history suggests that many Republican-led states will choose not to participate. If that happens, then the children in those states will be effectively excluded from the child care program. It is impossible to know in advance which states will participate in the program and which states will not. But we can make some educated guesses by looking at which states have opted not to participate in the ACA Medicaid expansion and which states opted out of participating in the pandemic unemployment insurance programs earlier this year. There are currently 12 states that have refused to expand Medicaid under the parameters of the Affordable Care Act, which was passed over a decade ago. These states can be seen in orange in the graphic below. Now here's the graphic right here below. As you can see, all the states that have chosen not to participate are in orange. Now let's carry on. To see what effect this would have, I looked at what percent of children below the age of 3 live in these 12 states. Overall, 30.3% of young children live in these states, and 43.5% of young Black children live in these states. There are currently 12 states that have not expanded Medicaid, but there were originally 24 states that refused to expand it. Political ties have changed a bit over the years, so it does not make sense to assume that those exact same 24 states would initially opt out of child care expansion. But to get a sense of what a similar lockstep Republican refusal to participate in this scheme would look like, we can see what percentage of children live in the 26 Republican-led states that chose to opt out of the pandemic UI programs earlier this year. As shown in the graphic below, in this scenario, 44.6% of children end up not receiving child care benefits, including 56.8% of Black children. Now, some of you may be looking at this graphic right now because you love the lie and you hate the truth, and you say to yourself, this isn't that much of a disparity. I mean, yeah, 56.8%, but look at everybody else, 41%, 44%, 38%. Here's the issue. Why is it that it's only black folks that have these extraordinary large disparities? How come it's never the other way around with anybody else? Every time you look at this kind of stuff, you read this kind of stuff, you see these kind of graphics, it's always black folks that's leading the pack when it comes to some sort of crazy disparity. And that's the issue, because that's by design. It's not by accident. Let's carry on. Now, this portion of the article is called Fake Fixes, and it reads as such. When you raise this problem with proponents of the legislation, they'll tell you that the bill fixes it by allowing localities and non-participating states to directly participate in the program, and by allowing Head Start agencies in non-participating localities in non-participating states to receive grant money from the program. But these measures don't come anywhere close to solving the problem. For starters, the amount of money being set aside for localities in non-participating states is only $1 billion per year. This is almost nothing and will be far below what is needed to cover all the kids in non-participating states, even if you assume only a handful of the states chose not to participate. The amount of money being set aside for Head Start agencies in non-participating localities in non-participating states is only $3 billion per year. This also will come nowhere close to covering all the kids in non-participating areas. Furthermore, the $3 billion is not being given to Head Start agencies so that they can administer the kind of child care subsidies called for in the rest of the bill. Rather, the money is being given to them so that they can, quote, carry out the purposes of the Head Start Act in that area. Now, here's the most important part of the article, because it goes to show you the trick bag that the Democratic Party constantly puts black folks in concerning always blaming Republicans for everything, when the Democrats could actually solve this problem themselves right now, but they deliberately choose not to. So let's get into this portion. If you really wanted to solve this problem, what you would do is have the federal government directly administer the child care subsidy program in non-participating areas. This is how the ACA health insurance exchanges are designed. Participating states run their own exchange, while the federal government runs exchanges in non-participating states. There is no reason why the administration of the child care subsidy program could not also be done the same way. If the Democrats pass the legislation in its current form and then Republican states refuse to participate, Democrats will spend the next decade or so talking about how mean and evil the Republicans are for blocking child care subsidies for so many Americans. But Democrats have the ability right now to make it so that it does not matter if state-level Republicans refuse to participate in the program. Democrats are instead choosing a design that gives state-level Republicans veto power over this legislation. When the predictable results of that choice materialize, the Democrats will only have themselves to blame. Do you see the kind of games that the Democratic Party consistently plays with the black community? Yet, like mindless zombies, we continue to vote for this party in mass without even thinking about it, without asking any questions, without pointing out the flaws and all of the holes in everything they say and everything they do. To carry on in the fashion of vote blue no matter who is to destroy yourself, your people, and your community. Black folks have been playing this game of vote blue no matter who since 1964. And the only thing that's got you is that by 2053, the median wealth of black Americans will fall to 0. And by 2065, you'll be 4th on the population list. And as Dr. Claude Anderson said so long ago,
we have been the number 2 population in this country now for approximately 400 years. We're going to be pushed from number 2 down to number 4, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, if you didn't get anything for 400 years when you're number 2, you figure what you're going to get when you become number 4.
It's not rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. It really isn't. So with all that being said, that does it for today's video. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. All social media links will be pinned in the comment section below. Please make sure you text tdhiphop to number 33222. That's tdhiphop to number 33222. That way you'll get a direct text notification whenever I release a new video, but it also serves as a protection plan for myself in case YouTube ever gives this channel the axe. I'll be able to send you a direct link to where you can find me next. And last but not least, for those of you who have a love and appreciation for the work that I put in on this channel, the number one way you can show your support is through Patreon for only $3 a month. That will help put me in position to take TD Hip Hop Media off of YouTube. Remember, the goal is not to grow big on YouTube, but to grow independent of YouTube. And for those who have issues with joining Patreon, you could also hit the join button that's next to the subscribe button, and that way you can become an official channel member for as little as $3 a month as well. And lastly, if you have not already, please make sure you join the emailing list. There is no way that I can go independent of YouTube if I cannot take the audience with me. And the link to that will be pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you for your time, and until the next video, peace.